So Bob, I've been fortunate to taste an awful lot of your wines over the years, and across the board they're beautiful. But if we could highlight just 4 of the wines for our viewers that you think are representational of what you offer here, what would those 4 wines be?
Well, when you think of Qupe, you think first of Syrah.
Absolutely.
So that's what we specialize in, and about 2/3 of our production is Syrah. So out of those 4 wines, I chose 3 different Syrahs today, different price points, different vineyards, and so forth.
Right.
And then we also make some real interesting whites from mostly from Rhone varietals. I make Chardonnay as well, but most of what we do with whites are Rhone varieties.
Okay.
Marsanne, Roussanne, and Viognier.
Right.
And I think the most interesting of those 3 is the Roussanne, so that's the one I've chosen to show.
Let's try that.
Yeah. This is our 2007 Roussanne from Biennacito Vineyard. We call it Biennacito Hillside Estate.
Thank you.
And this is on the hill just opposite the winery here. If you walk out the front door of our winery and look up,
Right.
it's about halfway up that hill.
Okay.
And Roussanne's a real rich, aromatic white wine.
Absolutely. So this is what we tasted in barrel earlier.
Right. We tried the 09 in barrel.
Perfect.
We just recently bottled the 08, and this is the current release 07. This is kind of in the last part of its release cycle. We've sold most of the 07, but we still have a little bit left.
It's great. You know, it seems that it's really tempered, it's mellowed. It seems that the wine has even more harmony to it, but it still has that great fleshy texture. I think this is a wine that you could match with Asian food easily. This is something that would take, grilled fish.
Right.
Any of the white proteins certainly.
Right.
And if there was one cheese that you might match with that, would it be something like a goat cheese, do you think?
Goat cheese would work well, or a hard cheese like a manchego or something like that.
Perfect.
Would work real well.
All right, let's jump into the first red.
The first red is our Central Coast Syrah, which is the wine that we make the most of. This one wine is about half of our production.
And I've poured this in every restaurant that I owned or managed or consulted on by the glass. This
Cool.
to me is one of the best staples of Syrah that I think you can find at the price point is spectacular.
Well, thanks.
So how would you describe this?
Well, first of all, it's a blend of a number of different vineyards in both Santa Barbara and San Luis Obispo County, so hence the Central Coast appellation. It's essentially a blend of 1/3 warm climate Syrah, which gives it that really kind of forward, jammy
Fruit
quality, and then
Yep.
2/3 cool climate Syrah, which gives it the
Acidic
acidity
structure,
and
right.
spice and balance of alcohol.
Okay.
My Syrahs tend to be more towards the savory side of Syrah rather
Absolutely.
than the fruity side,
Okay.
and that's how I prefer them. They're
think-
meant to go with food, and
Yeah, and I have the feeling, when you look at the color, there's such great extraction, and it gives you the impression that it's going to be a more powerful wine than it is. But it's light, it's elegant. I shouldn't say it's light. I would say it's a medium-bodied wine.
I would agree.
But
yeah.
it has really nice, soft, silky tannins to it. The length is good in the wine, very drinkable. When we were having lunch with Jill, she was talking about all the different Mexican chilies that it would go
Yeah.
with. Certainly roasted meats would be fabulous.
Right.
I think pastas would be perfect.
Definitely.
And for cheese, what do you think?
Again, something that's kind of a hard
Harder
cheese
cheese, yeah.
that's mild.
Right.
I already mentioned Manchego, but that's kind of
Right.
That's the classic pairing with Syrah, I think.
Great. So Bob, tell me about the new vineyard that you've had. Now this is a property that is certified biodynamic, is that correct?
Correct. Yeah,
Okay.
it's a 80-acre ranch that my wife and I bought in 2002 in the Edna Valley, which is about 40 minutes north of here in southern San Luis Obispo County. Very similar climate to the Santa Maria Valley, cool climate again. And we planted 40 acres there in 2005, got the first real crop in 2008. But from day one, we started farming it biodynamically.
And just quickly, what does that mean, biodynamically?
You can't answer that quickly, but let's just say that it's a form of organic farming that also takes into consideration the movements and balance of the earth and the cycles of the moon and the stars, and yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what do you think that's bringing to the wines?
I think it brings more terroir. I think and we've noticed even in young vines that there's a very distinct vineyard character in our grapes from this vineyard.
Great. Let's have a taste.
Yeah.
I think it's fascinating. People talk about that American wines are not terroir driven, and I think while that may be true in many cases, you've been making terroir driven wines for 20 years.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think where terroir maybe gets lost is in some of the larger wineries where they're doing a lot of blending and
Sure.
making just big tanks of things that they.
Right. And also higher alcohol
Right.
content seems to diminish that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So we call this vineyard the Sawyer Lindquist Vineyard. My wife's last name is Sawyer, and it's certified biodynamic.
It's lovely. I mean, I think there's a depth of flavor. There's infinitely more complexity in the wine. I think there's a polish and an elegance to this. Central Coast, I think, has at the price point tremendous value. But I think here, if you'd be willing to spend a bit more money, you're going to get considerably more of your skill and expression of the vineyard.
Right.
Just a lovely wine.
Yeah, the Central Coast Syrah is more for every day. This is more
Sure.
a special occasion.
Okay. Okay, and where do we go from here?
To what is probably our benchmark high-end Syrah, which is our Biennacido Hillside Estate. This is the from the famous Z block here at Biennacido up on the hill. It was the first hillside planting, planted in 1992. And we have a little 5-acre section of that vineyard, and it, year in, year out, gives us one of our very best Syrahs.
I think I've been carrying this wine since I worked with Michael Cornick at Marche in the, let's say 94, 95.
Yeah.
And it's always been a great seller.
Definitely.
And again, no problem aging 15, 20 years here.
No, this
a wine
is
that you could lay down
totally
with total
age-worthy.
confidence.
Yeah, exactly. And made in a little bit different style than the Sawyer Lindquist vineyard. This oak is a little bit more important component in the wine.
Okay.
We use all French oak barrels from a particular cooper called Francois Frere, which is a Burgundian cooper.
Absolutely.
And that helps kind of derive the personality of the wine.
Yeah. Now this wine seems to have a bit more depth of flavor. It seems to have a little bit darker fruit. It also seems to have a length that has complexity to it. So I see the fruit being a little bit more restrained, and I see a little bit more of an earthy quality. And as I'm talking to you, these components of minerality are becoming more and more evident.
Yeah, they just keep going. Don't
They really do.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, this has been a lovely day. As always, it's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you.
I wish you nothing but continued success, but I have to tell you, part of the reason I'm starting here, you're among the first men I met in the industry. I've been proud to pour your wines over the years, and if there's anything that I can do to get the public to really understand what you're doing, you've won every accolade anyone could win. And you've always kept your price points very, very fair.
Yeah.
Where many people got one good score and the prices went up 30%, 40%. You've never done that over the more than 20 years that I've known you.
Right.
So I think there's value at every price point.
Yeah.
And I think if Americans want to see balanced wines that are terroir driven, Qupe is absolutely a place to go.
Thanks.
So thanks for a great day.
You're welcome, Tom.
Really
Thanks.
enjoyed it.